A storm has hit the watch world. US tariffs on Swiss imports have soared to 39%, but behind the headlines lies a rare opportunity. Christopher Ward have shown agility by slashing prices for US customers through restructuring of their imports and clever accounting. The big players, Rolex, Patek, AP, they've taken a different approach, stockpiling. And for the first time in over a decade, whilst the shop windows may still look bare, the safes out back are actually full. If you've been waiting then for a sports model phone call from your US AD, this might be the best moment to make it happen. Welcome back, guys. I'm Vinny, a former accountant turned watch dealer. Please do subscribe down below if you haven't done as yet. We must look at the situation in the United States and how companies have reacted to tariffs being imposed. We know that a couple of weeks ago, 39% tariffs actually came into effect. So the question is, what are companies actually doing to remain profitable? Now, what we've got is a very interesting two-tailed story. One of Christopher Ward, who operate as a direct-to-consumer business model. You order online, that watch essentially gets shipped from their base in Maidenhead in London over to wherever the destination is across the globe. Other companies like Rolex, AP, Patek, they operate on a authorized dealer business model. So they ship their stock into their authorized dealer wholesale network at a wholesale price. They sell them to their ADs at the ADs, add their own margin and sell it for the recommended retail price. So essentially the tariff gets charged on whatever the landed cost is. I know everybody is talking about Christopher Ward and I have to mention them in this video because as an accountant, I think it's actually quite clever what these guys have done to circumnavigate the tariff rules, and actually they've ended up in a situation where they've been able to pass on nothing to the consumer and absorb that tariff cost completely. Initially, when Trump brought out that placard on April the 2nd, I think it was, announcing all of the tariffs, the interim tariff was 10% across the globe. Now, Christopher Ward have been dealing with that and passing on that cost to the clients ever since that announcement was made. So if you were based in the New York state and you were buying, say, for example, a C1 Balcanto Classic that retailed for around $4,000, you'd have to add the 8% sales tax, which is no different. You guys have been used to that in the United States. On top of that, and then another 10% in the import tariff. Now that was what was new. 39% tariffs hit, and it created a situation where a C1 Balcanto Classic shot all the way up to an astronomical $5,274. And for Christopher Ward, for which the United States is actually their biggest single market, they had to do something about it. So what have they done? Christopher Ward have owned a importer which before the tariff situation dealt with the drop shipping nature of their business in the United States. So a client would place an order on their website, that order would go to their drop shipping center in the United States, which is a registered company, and then Maidenhead would send it directly to the customer. The problem with that is as it crosses the border, it's crossing at the retail price. The tariff is charged on the $4,200 for that C1 Balcanto. Instead, what Christopher Ward have quite intelligently done is they have evolved their US business, which was dealing with drop shipping, into a wholesaler. So Christopher Ward's arm in the United States, the wholesaler, is importing Christopher Ward's watches from the parent company in the United Kingdom. And of course, if you've got intercompany trading like that, then you can really set the price, the wholesale price, as to whatever the hell you like. So that $4,000 watch, perhaps, I'm only speculating, becomes just a $100 watch at wholesale price that Christopher Ward Maidenhead sell to Christopher Ward United States. The tariff is charged on that $100. They've been able to create a situation where they're not passing on any of that massive 39% tariff to their end consumers, which would have absolutely destroyed their business model. So in light of that, what exactly have the big players, Rolex, Patek, AP and Swatch Group done? We've known about the tariff situation for several months now. In fact, we knew about it way before Trump was elected back in January. What that's allowed companies like Rolex to do is plan in advance, and the biggest, easiest thing that they can do is stockpile. So Rolex, AP, Patek apparently, according to reports, have been able to build up a 6-month stockpile of timepieces in the US, sitting in the safes of USADs. Now that of course means that there are more stainless steel sports watches as well, perhaps more Daytona Pandas, more Pepsis, more Submariners, the watches that we all want. And so that creates, I guess, an opportunity in this small window whilst we wait to see what happens, or, until the stockpiles run out and the likes of Rolex, AP, Patek have to react by increasing their prices. They haven't done as yet. We've seen absolutely no reaction in terms of retail price increases from any of the major Swiss brands. And so they are all doing the same thing, stockpiling for several months. Why? In the hope that the Swiss, which have been more stubborn in trying to arrange a trade deal with Trump and the United States, will eventually get there across the line and land, say, for example, with a 15% tariff like the rest of the European Union. If you have been seeking one of those stainless steel sports models and perhaps you have a spend history at your authorized dealers, now is the time to get onto them. Lobby them, be visiting that AD, be emailing them, showing your face and making clear that you have your name down for one of those sought after models and that you are still in pursuit of that timepiece. Play the game. I've made several videos in the past on how to play that game respectfully. According to reports then, Swiss watch exports to the United States, this isn't just the watch industry, have reached a total of 3.11 billion Swiss francs for the first 7 months of 2025, which is an unprecedented 24.1% rise. This equates to additional stock in the country, apparently, compared to the same period in 2024, worth 600 million Swiss francs. So while tariffs might have sounded like a disaster for the watch industry, in reality, they've cracked open a small door of opportunity. As the big brands flood their safes with excess stock, it could be the single best time in a decade to secure the watch you've been waiting for, but only if you're bold enough to push. Thanks very much for joining me in this one. Go check out VinnyFrancis.com and join me again in the next one. Cheerio.